What do you think about SaaS companies like Adobe, ServiceNow, and Salesforce?
I don't know about ServiceNow and Salesforce, but I was just looking at Adobe the other day, and it's like its price is the most attractive it has ever been. It's selling at a price earnings ratio of roughly 10, which is pretty incredible. So yeah, it's the price is pretty fantastic. I guess the question becomes, in a world where people ask AI to do their edits, do creative people still need Adobe's products as much? And
Or do
the
people
answer to
need
that,
creative people,
yeah, I
right?
think creative people are still needed, but maybe there'll be more of them that are more entrepreneurial, creating their work for
Hmm.
themselves as opposed to for others. Because technically, like you can see people asking AI to do more and more of what they would normally ask a creative person to do. So yeah, it's hard to know what the answer to that latter question is. So far, Adobe's numbers have not been like crashing down or anything like that. So if I was an Adobe shareholder, I probably wouldn't sell any at this point. But because of AI, it's kind of scary to get into some of these names, and I personally haven't ventured into them. I've been more focused on AI being pretty incredible. So
Yeah, I recently, and by recently over the last few months, developed a hard line of not investing in any software companies that don't have a tangible moat outside of the software itself. Meaning, cut it, 5, 10 years into the future, where who knows where AI will be at that point, but it's going to be better than it is today. If I'm able to say, I want you to recreate Adobe Premiere Pro functionality, and it could just do it within, an hour or less. Adobe virtually has no moat outside of their own expertise and point of view.
but
But
even scarier might be that like you could give uh, Claude or open ChatGPT or whatever your video files and say, hey, can you edit these for me? And you know tell it exactly what you want done, as opposed to like, and then it could show it to you on a timeline, right? Like that is where AI is going to be going if they had enough compute to do it, right? We already know this type of stuff is possible. It's just that compute is the constraint. And this is why I'm so optimistic on investments in compute continuing for several more years, is because there's so much more we can do with AI that we haven't even begun to do, largely because we don't have enough compute. Now, we know AI is capable of doing that today, but these products haven't started offering these features because they literally can't. Like when they offer a new feature where it takes up a lot of compute resources on their back end, they literally have to like throttle the rollout of those features just because they can't handle how quickly people use up their compute resources. So that has been a problem. Uh, yeah, so I'm with you on that. Is that it's kind of a
yeah,
scary thing to invest in from that standpoint.
to your point, these software companies, they could be disrupted at the software level, which is more what I was describing, or at the deliverable level, which is
That's
easy
right.
to see with Adobe. Whereas like a Salesforce, the deliverable is you need the AI to be doing the sales for you, right?
Right.
Which it definitely can do in the future, in theory. But there is a world where you might want to have software that you're still going to use on a day-to-day basis. Especially in the Salesforce case, if you do have sales reps, or even if you have AI sales reps, you might want software to manage that.
You know what's an interesting analogy is like, if you were to think about the transportation industry, like we move humans with cars, we move merchandise with trucks or whatever, and then we happen to have invented trans teleporters, right? And the teleporters, you just put something in the teleporter and it'll like make it appear wherever you want. The only problem with the teleporter is that it uses a lot of freaking energy. And right now, the reason we don't teleport everything is because we don't have enough energy. And and then we're wondering, in a world that is like that, do cars even matter, right? Like if you extrapolate enough time into the future, they won't matter, right? Like no software company like Adobe, Salesforce, etc., probably won't matter in a world where AI can do anything. But the question is, how long will that time take? There's a period where you're still going to need cars and trucks, despite the fact that you have teleporters. But right now, AI is the equivalent of that teleporter, right? It's this machine that can do literally anything. We just don't have enough of the machine.
And that's a great example. And by the way, I just want to talk about, a stock we both own that is in the software space that I don't think is going to be negatively affected by this is Meta, right? Because yes, they have the software, which is their social networks of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, but it's the network effect, right? Just because you tell AI to recreate Instagram doesn't mean you're going to have all your friends and people you care about post on there. So not all software is going to be completely disrupted by this. And that's where my personal fine line is when there's really nothing stopping AI in the future from completely replicating either the software or the deliverable.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction to make, because the network is the value there, not the software. There's like hundreds of replicas of Facebook and X or software that is largely dependent on the networks. If you enjoyed this clip, consider subscribing to the Buy Hold Rant podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. New episodes are released every Wednesday, and you can watch them live on YouTube.